cue up your
I'm ready.
your theme song?
Yep. Oh yeah, Al's got to have our theme ready.
All right, we're live.
All right.
Hello, everybody.
Get ready, everybody. It's our 50th show coming up.
Don't shout.
Oh, I'm shouting into the phone. Al Hardy, come on down.
You're the first contestant on Nostalgic Podblast.
Daniel Cochran, come on down. You're the next contestant on the Nostalgic Podblast 50th episode.
I'm so happy. I want to play the yodeling
You
game.
get a chance to win absolutely nothing.
Sounds good, Chance.
Where's Sonny? Sonny, come on down for a treat. That's Al's dog.
A new car!
I love this music. I've been watching the new Price is Right channel on Pluto TV. It's free. You have to have a...
Who's the host?
Bob Barker. It's all Bob
Still?
Barker's Price is Right. No, it's classic Bob Barker. They're showing 1982.
Okay. Well, when you said like new Price
And I
is
have
Right-
this music stuck in my head. I've been watching it like a freak. Isn't that classic?
Kind of reminds me of the theme music for the Love Boat. Love Boat.
Al, are we live on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Love Boat promises prizes for everyone.
And some sexual harassment. No.
Well, they always hired they look like pinup models.
Treat. That's Al's dog. I like these cues.
Prizes for everyone. We're getting feedback.
Yeah, that's because I got to mute this. You're right.
They always hire.
I got it. I got it out. Don't worry about it.
Chance does not know how to use it.
It just keeps repeating they hired like pinups.
This music is called Star-Crossed. This is when they would announce a new car, and during the showcase
A new
showdown,
car!
Johnny Olson.
What was your favorite game on The Price is Right?
I like the punch board. Everyone likes Plinko, but I like the one with the punch board where you can win 10 grand maximum.
I like the yodeler guy. He'd be going up the mountain.
Yes.
He's falling.
Oh, that's a cliffhanger.
Yeah, the yodeler. Cliffhanger. Sure. Hey, Al, what time is it? About time to get started.
It's daytime.
It's time to get started, man.
Well, he's got to turn the camera on, but he's focusing on getting the recorder going.
I can't find one more thing.
You'll find it. It's in your folder.
You've got about 80 minutes to find it.
Let's see.
I dig this. Hear this music? Al, turn the camera on when you can. Did you have a favorite Barker Beauty, Danny?
You know, I was trying to rack my brain. I can't remember any of their names.
Diane Parkinson was mine, the blonde. And you had Holly, the redhead.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I like them all, but I think the blonde definitely.
Janice Pennington. She was the original from 1972 to 2000 when she retired.
How much money did she get in her lawsuit settlement?
She didn't sue.
Good girl.
Holly sued Bob Barker and the production company, and they settled. And Diane sued, but she dropped the case due to intense pressure. I like Bob Barker. I don't even want to mention it, but, you know, people get greedy, right?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Al, what time is it?
He's not ready yet.
I'm ready.
All right.
All right, then I'll pause that.
Chance is just a game show geek.
Well,
Yeah.
Was Bill Mooney ever on a game show, Chance?
no, he should have done Family Feud versus Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Lost in Space versus Gilligan's Island. They had a pretty cool little competition back in '83, 2 weeks long. Had all these classic shows like Leave It to Beaver, The Brady Bunch, and Dawn Wells, who just died, God rest her soul. Marianne on Gilligan's Island.
Oh,
she
I didn't know
competed,
that.
and she was a really good player in Fast Money on Family Feud.
When did
Look
she-
it up on
when-
YouTube.
when-
It's on
when-
YouTube.
When did she pass away?
She passed away Friday.
Yes, it was Friday.
She didn't make it to the new year.
Oh, so that's another.
She died
that's
on
another
the last day.
2020 casualty.
The last day. No, she died December 30th, 2020 of COVID-19, allegedly.
That's another.
Complications.
Everybody dies from COVID-19.
I think I died 10 years ago from COVID.
Yeah.
I'm just a zombie now.
Yeah. You been tested?
No.
I have.
All right, let me know when you're ready to start the show.
All right.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
You're always ready, Freddie.
What's 225 in the east?
Dun-dun-dun-dun, Bill Mooney. Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Right, stand by.
Na-na-na-na-na-na.
Hey, fellas, what time is it?
It's Podblast time at last.
All right.
It's Podblast time.
And today we mark 50th, the 50th show we've done. And we started, what, 2 years ago? A year and a half ago?
We started June 1st, 2019.
The big
And this is our
50.
50th show. We should actually have probably about 100 in the can by now, but oh well, I'll take 50.
Well, 50's not bad.
Well, the big 50. Right? Chance, don't you turn 50 this year?
He already turned 50.
I know.
November 21st, wasn't it?
Now,
Chance doesn't like
November
any
21st.
Chance doesn't like any reference to his age in case any producers are out there looking to cast him in the
I've been told I look
Lost in
younger.
Space remake.
I've been told I look younger than
Dude,
my age.
you totally do.
Well, welcome to Podblast number 50. I'm Al. That's Chance, and Danny's here again today.
Hey everybody, Danny's back.
And Danny's back. And Danny brought some great food today
I did.
from Fully Loaded in Athens, Georgia.
Fully loaded in 5 Points, Athens, Georgia.
Yeah, we had, you brought pizza. It
Yeah,
was delicious. You bought wings, calzones.
calzones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I
there's lots
think
of food left over.
I think I got you guys like really pumped up for next time with the Italian subs.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got a really diverse menu. If anybody's in the Athens area, come on by Fully Loaded and check us out.
Yeah.
Our hand
Great
tossed
food.
pizzas are fantastic.
Great food. Great food. And again, thanks for bringing it.
No problem, guys.
Yeah. And today we're going to talk about, since it's 2021, things that's come and gone in our past.
Yeah, it could be technology, fashion, a fad.
It can be just about anything that was here that's gone. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
I always sort of think my grandmother was born in the year 1900. And I
Wow.
always think that when she was a young girl, the state of the art for traveling would have been like a horse and a buggy. Possibly,
Right.
I guess, the trains, whenever trains hit the scene. And she lived long enough to see the space shuttle. And I always thought it was really sort of interesting to sort of just to define or bookend a life from what the technology was when she was a young girl
Right.
to when she passed away. And so on my list of things that have come and gone in my lifetime, one of those is the space shuttle missions. It was Reagan was really pumped about it, and it was really promoted as a real game changer, where they had this technology where they could refuel it and it wasn't going to be as costly, and they could just make all these various missions in outer space and the
Well, I had the pleasure
space station.
back in the day. I went to, I worked in television, and we had press credentials. This is when I lived in North Carolina, and we went to Apollo 14. I saw the launch, and we were, where they have the big countdown clock.
Yes.
That's where we were. See, that was the press area, and you're a few miles away.
Right.
And so we went to Apollo 14. I think it was Cape Kennedy then. I think they switched it back to Cape Canaveral, haven't they?
Yes.
But anyway, had the pleasure in touring the NASA Center there and watching the launch, and it was really amazing. And when that rocket goes off, I mean, it's like
I'm sure you feel it miles
it's
away.
like an earthquake.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
The whole ground just shakes, and it's just the technology to do that, where you can send a rocket up like that, and
Well,
And
and
so,
get them there and back. I mean, of course, that was the Apollo 13 was the one where we
Right.
came close to losing our first astronauts in space.
Right.
An excellent movie with Tom Hanks.
that was a good movie. Tom Hanks. was a-
I'll never forget seeing the Challenger explosion though in school.
Oh, yeah.
I was
And
I was
we-
working at Turner, and CNN was downstairs on Techwood, and so I was upstairs in the film department working, and then all of a sudden people were running around going crazy, and so it said the rocket, the Apollo 13, the rocket blew up,
You mean the Challenger?
The Challenger, yeah. And so I went running. I went downstairs to CNN, and stood on the Don Farmer and Chris Curl were on the air at the time.
Well, and that was
it was just it was amazing. I just stood by and said, I can't believe it happened.
Well, and the thing was, I think at that point, the space shuttle launches had become a little bit routine for the public,
right?
But of course, that was the one that had the teacher on it.
Yeah.
And it was going to be
Yes.
the first time there was a civilian, and so her classroom. I mean,
What's her name? Like Krista McCullough?
Yes,
Something
yeah.
like
I mean,
that.
so classrums all around the nation
We're watching.
Chance said, we're tuned into this. Now, I'm surprised that you say okay, because Chance and I grew up like really close to each other. I was in high school, and we had a snow day. So I was actually not in school. My parents were out of town. My one of my cousins, Daniel Foster, was watching us, and in Georgia they close schools for a snow day. It's because there's a half inch of snow, so it didn't impede us. So
right.
I went to go get my girlfriend Amy, a guy Tom Seamster that I worked with at McDonald's. We were all over at my house and hanging out and stuff. We were gonna get some pizza and watch some VHS movies and stuff like that. And my cousin was watching on the TV, and when the initial explosion, he's like, "Hey, you guys might want to come in here and watch this." And so we did, yeah, just what a tragedy. I'm sure that was probably the beginning of the end for like the space shuttle.
Well, I mean, the space program has come back, but a private company, manufactures and builds the rockets.
Yeah, well, now there's competing private companies like the SpaceX. And all that stuff. They just had something explode. I think it was unmanned.
They had a test rocket. They were checking. It did explode. Yeah.
So we're going to try to keep this in a little bit of order, but we're going to have a special phone call a little bit later because we're talking about fads as well as technology and all sorts of things that have come and gone in our lifetime. And Al, I don't think this will resonate much with you, but when you see a big rig on the road, when you were a kid, was this a thing when you were a kid, Al? You would do a symbol.
I've heard the horn on trucks. Yeah, everybody has.
But you would motion to the driver to toot the big horn on the rig, and you'd go like this, like pulling a chain. I got one right here. Listen to this. Right?
Yeah.
We love truckers. If not for truckers, this country would fall apart. But later on,
truckers have, but also trains transport a lot of stuff.
They sure do.
Trains transport all the oil in the country. They transport just about everything.
And what else did they transport?
People.
And animals. And we'll talk
true.
later about something that's come and gone, which is very sad. The Ringling Brothers, Barnum and
Let's
Bailey
just talk
Circus.
about it now.
Well, first I like to talk about.
Oh, okay.
I was in the movie business. I say movie business. I worked in movie theaters part time. I never worked full time in theater business, except for a short period of time. I was always in television and radio. But things that's come and gone is, for one thing, cameras.
Yeah.
They're making a little bit of a comeback. But do you remember the 1 hour photos of Fox Photo?
The photo mats.
They were in parking lots of malls and stores and stuff. You could shoot your film and drop it off, and an hour later come back and get it sometimes.
And you could get in trouble because if you sent a naughty picture in there, they would not develop it. And you might even get a visit from the police.
Well, I wasn't even going there. But anyway.
I'm sure that's true a little bit, but there was one of my buddies, Scott Axelrod, in high school, and he worked at Fox Photo. And so some of these naughty pictures that you're talking about, he would just make a copy. And a lot of benign stuff,
right.
But also in movie theaters, everything is digital now. Projectors are gone. Everything used to be on film.
And things were shot on film, and now they're also shot digitally with digital cameras and digital projectors.
Slides.
You're out of business. You used to work as a projectionist for side money part-time.
But now I like digital, don't get me wrong.
That job's been eliminated because it's all automatic.
Right. And in the early days of the movie business, projectionists were all union so they made actually decent money.
They were what? They were union?
They were all union,
okay.
yes.
There was a union for projectionists.
Yes,
interesting.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, and all that,
Did you pay dues? Did you join the union?
No.
Okay.
No.
This is a right-to-work state here in Georgia.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm using the wrong word, but to me, like the look of film, like tape, like cassettes are gone, and that was or 8 tracks, all that. I guess information on a tape. I don't. At least I don't know the technology to explain it.
I used to. I'm guilty of it. I have a bunch of slides. I used to shoot slides, and I have a carousel slide projector
that's one of
still.
my
But they're gone. People don't use slides anymore.
Let's explain to the layman out there, someone that might be younger. Literally, you would project a photograph on a wall with a slide projector.
Yeah, I have a couple of them downstairs.
And you had to buy special film to take a picture for a slide projector.
Well, if you buy Kodak film, you buy slide film, or you buy print film,
or black and white film. There's all sorts of different types of film, which has come and gone.
Never had. I never bought black and white slide film. I bought black and white picture film, but not slides.
Well, I still have, my parents, their carousel slide and projector, and the actual. It was like a little movie screen. It was like in a tube or something, and it was sort of like a telescopic metal rod, and it had little like a tripod feet that would come out from it, and then you'd flip the screen horizontally as opposed to vertically, and then you just unrolled it to the top of the telescopic rod, and there was just like a little ring and a hook.
Right.
And so you had this little tiny theater screen, and it was always something that seems like we do on the weekends.
They were made.
My dad would pull out his boxes.
You
of
can
slides.
still buy those. I mean, I have some of those. They're made by Daylight.
Well, and it's kind of too bad because like so much of our family vacations in the 70s, it's all on all these slide things, and I mean I don't even know if there's any companies that transfer those images.
sure.
To,
You can send
discs
them. You can, film,
Super 8 film,
boxes.
all that stuff.
Super 8 is, you can still buy it, and it's expensive, but you can still buy it, but you send it off. You can't drop it off at a photomat and get it back within a reasonable amount of time. Just like, I collect film in chance does. 16 millimeter projectors aren't made anymore. Schools used to use those to show films and film strip projectors.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you were running that projector, right? You were like the video geek.
Well, that's what got me started. I was always the geek that wanted to run the projector, So,
When the movie was done, you hear that the film went when it unwind from the one spool to the next.
I remember watching movies on film, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory on film. It was like a treat. On Friday, we would have movie day. In class. This is like an elementary school.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm old enough to remember the projector as well.
But I still have many projectors in the basement, but they just don't make them anymore. But luckily, you can still get parts for a lot of them.
Yes.
You can still buy bulbs. You can still buy, belts for the projectors and the take-up. They're still available. So.
Cool. Well, to set this up again, this call, I really think it's special. I got so excited.
Well, why don't we talk about that when we get
to it? Well, I don't know when this caller is going to call. I'll just let you know. It's my nephew, Henry. He just turned 9 years old, and he and his dad
Henry.
brought back the trucker blowing the horn when you give the symbol. And he wrote a letter to a trucking company thanking them, and they sent him a bunch of cool stuff. I don't want to ruin it. I want him to read the letter that he wrote, FCC Trucking Company, later when he calls the show.
Also, remember Polaroid cameras?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They've disappeared.
See, that was a way to avoid
Yeah.
what Chance was referencing about
Yeah.
some high school kids seeing your naughty pictures, where you could have a Polaroid and take pictures and have them developed in the privacy of your own home.
Yeah. But, that's as far as,
Al, didn't you say that they're bringing back Polaroids?
Well, Polaroid is actually, you can buy a Polaroid camera again. They're coming back in limited.
And I bet we have a call.
Let's see who this is.
Nostalgic Podblast. What's your name?
No signal.
Hey, I hear a caller. Hello.
When do I do it?
Hello.
Is it ringing?
They can't hear us.
Oh.
Hello.
Caller, are you there?
You're on the air. Is this Henry? Is this Henry?
Hi, when?
Hey, Henry. Henry.
What?
Hey, it's your Uncle Chance. I was telling everyone in our audience about the neat letter that you wrote to FCC Trucking Company. Do you happen to have that letter handy that you'd be happy enough to, or would you mind reading it to us?
Should I read both of them?
Yeah, but read the one you wrote, the trucking company, and just talk about what you did.
Ready?
Yep.
Dear FCC, when I was driving on a highway in Rome, I was trying to get a truck to honk like an English symbol. Finally, an FCC truck saw me and waved and honked. It made my day. Please try to find someone that honks on a symbol at a high-end realm on Tuesday, 11-24-20. P.S. Please write back.
And they did write back. Boy, did they ever. And they sent you a box. You showed me a box full of goodies. You had a toy truck. They sent you a hat. They sent you a T-shirt. And I think it's nice that there's people out there that care. And do you have the letter handy that they wrote you back, the nice people at FCC Trucking?
Yeah, I do. Should I read it?
Please.
Okay. December 2nd, 2020. Dear Henry, thank you so much for your letter. We don't usually get such letters from boys who race. It took a little bit of work, but I found the driver who honked at you. His name is Mark, and he lives in Oklahoma. He said he was very glad he made your day as your letter made his day. Mark is one of the 400 drivers that works at our company, and he travels all over the United States. In the last month, he had been to Pennsylvania, Nebraska, Georgia, and Oklahoma, Wisconsin, and California. Henry, since you brightened our day with the letter, we wanted to share some goodies with you. In this box of items we thought you might enjoy. All of us at FCC hope you and your family have a wonderful, fun-filled December. Stay safe on the roadways. Amber Wesley. Safety at the contract carriers.
FCC, yeah. I think that's great, Henry. You know, you're such a good boy, and I really am glad that you and your dad brought that back, because that is something that's come and gone in our lifetime, is signaling the trucker to blow that horn. Way to go, Henry.
Thanks.
And thanks for calling in and telling your story, and I hope you have a great rest of the day watching football.
You too.
Henry, this is for you. Listen to this. Listen. There you go. All right. Well, thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling in, Henry. That's a great story.
Okay, bye, Henry.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, it was so kind of him to take the time to write the trucking company a letter, and
He's a good boy.
and for them to take the time to respond.
That's what I'm saying. I wanted to highlight them. I mean, I don't know if it would do any good. I think they transport items, but they're in Nebraska. I just think that's really neat that they sent him this awesome loaded box.
Well,
Speaking of loaded, you brought us fully loaded pizza today.
Yeah,
what a delicious lunch.
I'll mention that. But yeah, so like the letter said that the trucker was from Oklahoma.
He'd been to all those different states.
I didn't catch his name or the name of I guess the general manager that sent the letter and the.
Amber, I think Amber sent the letter back. That's like the office manager, or could be the owner. I need to research that.
Well,
anyway,
and you said they sent him like a little toy truck and like a FCC truck and hat and stuff, and that's like really kind of cool.
I mean, a lot of nice stuff, and some calendars. I mean, it was a nice.
I used to have toy trucks as a kid. You know,
like Hess. Remember Hess trucks? That's something from the past.
I had some of those, and I had. Well, no, Hess still makes them.
Hess they do. Hess gas stations.
Now here's something that's come and gone in our lifetime. So I was talking to Chance about. And they might exist very, very sporadically, is the full-service gas stations. When I was a kid, and when you pulled up to like any gas station, there was self-pump and there was full service. Now, the full service, you paid
a little bit more.
You paid a little bit more for. I mean, and it wasn't exorbitant, like a couple cents a gallon, 5 cents a gallon more. But if you pulled into the full service, a service guy would come out to your car. He would not only pump the gas in your car, they would wash your windows. They
tire pressure,
check your tire pressure, check your oil, and I think it was a really good service for my family. We do a lot of traveling over the summers and go on these family vacations that would end up photographed on those the slide projector film. But where Dad could take a little break, stretch his legs, go hit the restroom, and meanwhile some service technician is checking off the oil, checking the tire pressure, cleaning the windows, and filling your car up full of gas. And so it was a real nice service. And like I said, they might exist, but I've not seen one
No, I
decades.
never see them anymore.
In decades.
And
maybe
maybe in a small town somewhere, but not in any major city. You don't see them.
Well, you got the quick trips and the racetracks that ran that out of town.
Yeah.
I mean, and before that, the Exxon station, none of them are really full service anymore, unless you have like an independently owned gas station.
The Exxons, the Chevrons. Like, I mean, it used to be like
BP,
most gas stations.
Standard Oil.
Like most gas stations you went to offered that.
Yeah.
And I also think, I mean, and I'm
Well,
not,
I remember them as a kid. I mean, my
Oh,
dad
yeah.
would go fill up, and they were there just to do everything you needed them to do.
and I'm not meaning this as any sort of gender slam, but I think it was also a nice service a lot of times for women. Because I remember, for instance, like say my mom and I are traveling, and I'm a real young boy, and you know, she all of a sudden, oh, I need gas, and she might have pulled over in some place in a downtown area where she might not have felt safe or comfortable, where she could pull up to the full service. That way, she's not even have to unlock her car, get out of her car. Her gas is getting pumped, and she could just roll down the window about 2 inches and hand the guy the money or the credit card or whatever it was. And so that way, you know, she was, you know, as a female consumer, able to feel safe and comfortable and be provided a service. So, I mean, once again, I'm not saying that women, you're not capable of pumping your own gas. Of course, I know that you are.
They do it all the time now.
Well, yeah, but I'm sure there's a lot of women out there who might, you know, all of a sudden it's late at night and you're pulling into a gas station and nobody's around, that you might wish that service was still available. So maybe if anybody higher up for Exxon or Chevron or any companies want to be a trendsetter
and be a sponsor.
remember your customers, I wouldn't mind seeing it come back, but that's something that's come and gone in my lifetime.
And how about the map that you would get at the filling station?
Road maps are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need them.
No, road maps were, you know, everywhere. You know, I remember my dad had stacks of road maps, you know, depending where you want to go. And so, but now you have GPS, you don't need road maps, and they're a thing of the past.
And you mentioned earlier, like MapQuest.
MapQuest, people don't, it's still there, you can use it, but
it's outdated.
Yeah,
But
because most cars have navigation on their cars. Mine does. You know, your cell phone does.
Mine does too, yeah.
now Al, you seem a very attention to detail kind of guy. I could never get the maps to fold back right. My dad would get so
terrible.
Annoyed. My dad would get so annoyed at me. But like, I mean,
That's mine
true.
too.
We're talking like, okay, for our younger listeners that are like, map, what are you guys talking about? You buy these maps at gas stations that folded up was a rectangle that was maybe
but they were huge. I mean, they
folded out. But when they were folded up, it was a rectangle that was maybe
like,
4 or 5 inches across by like 8-9 inches tall, something like that. But it was multiple layers,
it was
like
a pain.
accordion together. So when you opened up this map, it was now huge.
And then
Because it was folded into thirds on top of itself, and then
in some
was
you
like
had to turn it over to continue.
to get to the other side.
You know, you flip it over.
Now, this is a true story. The first time I drove to California, I literally had stopped at breakfast at a Denny's, and at the place.
Why?
Because I was stopping for
Denny's
breakfast.
is all right.
So, the placemat was a map of all the interstates of the United States, and the first time I drove to California, that was my map. Was the placemat that I got at Denny's? Well, no, because it was.
Well, they were free, probably.
Well, yeah.
Route 66, right?
Well, once again, I mean, I'm taking interstates.
Was it Route 66?
So it's like you pretty much, you know, you got to Interstate 40, and you can go all the way to the West Coast.
The 40, as they call it out there.
Yeah, man.
The
So,
10.
So yeah, I was terrible at folding maps back.
Me too. My dad would make a joke. He'd go, Chance, fold this map.
Yeah.
Go, here. Just entertain me. Fold this. Try to fold this map.
Yeah, no, my dad would get annoyed. But yeah, no, that was a good one to bring up there, Al, was maps.
Road maps.
Now, you know, you can't even see the phone number on the screen, by the way. It's like a
the
white
number?
font. If anyone wants to call in at 678-615-7560, we're talking about fads. We've got quite a few Facebook comments. Paula Carter talking about fads that have come and gone in our lifetime.
My friend
mentioned,
Paula from North Carolina.
right, Wilmington.
She lives in Florida now.
Oh, hula hoops, she says.
Oh, yeah. Remember hula hoops? I had those.
But they still sell hula hoops.
Yeah.
Well, it was a big fad, though.
It was a
growing
big
up.
it was
yeah.
a big fad growing up, was the hula hoop.
It was trendy.
Yeah.
And she also wishes a happy anniversary. Wesley Millsap. Hi, Al, Chance, and Danny, checking in from
Wesley's a
Ackworth.
nice guy, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Wesley. Let's see. Kim Ponder. Hey, guys.
Hey, Kim.
Happy 50th. And then Wesley also said, on one of my school field trips years ago, I was in a motor coach. Some of my school acquaintances did the truck horn honk symbol to truckers. They went completely overboard with it. Meaning his his friends.
The truck. It reminds me of one of my favorite movies, Thelma and Louise.
Oh yes,
there was a scene where they hooked up with a trucker. It was just kind of like,
And we have another comment. There used to be a Hess gas station south of where I live in Ackworth, Georgia. It got torn down and now is a Quick Trip.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I've seen, not too far from me, there's a Pure gas station. Remember Pure? Pure Gas, Pure.
Is that the one that has the dinosaur as the symbol?
Yeah.
Well, no, that was Sinclair.
It was a blue logo.
It was
Pure.
blue. It had a
Yeah.
little. It was a circle, and it had Pure and blue, and it had a little circle.
An arrow thing.
Yeah. That was Sunoco.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sunoco had the arrow. Sunoco is still around too, by the way.
And Paula says gelatin and mayo mixed with other ingredients to form a mold or shape. Do you know what she's talking about?
Like, is that like a school project?
Yeah, like silly putty or something.
It's like, I don't think I want to eat mayo and
Like
gelatin.
Silly
Sorry.
putty. It sounds like silly putty. And then
okay.
Another comment. Back in the decade of the 2000s, I would get a Rand McNally Road Atlas every year.
That's right.
They had them
I
at
remember
Walmart
those.
and Sam's Club store directories in them. Wait, they had Walmart and Sam's Club store directories in them.
Speaking of roadmaps, I can never read them. I mean, I could read them, but I didn't understand them. I said, how can you read it? Well, you need somebody with you to read the roadmap because you can't drive and read the roadmap unless you pull over and say, okay, we're going to go.
Oh, keep your arm where it was. It actually was good with the phone number because there's your paper with the background. If you try and look at the monitor real quick.
I know, it's in
All
white.
right.
I'll change it.
No. It's just your paper. It blends. It's like you can't read the phone number. It's all good. It's all good. Anyway, but we thank you for our anniversary well wishes out there, audience members. We're glad you're here. And we got quite a list. Al, what's next on your list? I know you want to keep this in order.
Somewhat in order. Remember, we all used to get the newspaper.
Sure.
Yeah.
I used to get the AJC. And
My dad still does.
So does my dad.
When I lived in North Carolina, I got the Star News, local paper. But what you don't see anymore, you don't see any classified ads in newspapers
Very
anymore.
few.
No.
Very few. Plus, you don't see any movie ads in newspapers anymore because it's all on your cell phone, on your smartphone.
Well,
you can get showtimes. You can get everything you wanted to know about a movie on your smartphone.
And we were talking about like the classifieds for jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that's how you did it. Like you would get it was the Sunday paper that had the most classifieds.
You want to get a leg up on the competition and be the first one. You get the Saturday early Sunday editions.
And you
Right.
go through the classifieds and you see who had postings for jobs and stuff like that. And I'd usually, you'd call 4 or 5 places and try to set up a couple interviews and whatever. And that's how you did it. And so, like, I kind of like that better because I knew it was an actual real job posting.
I remember
all the
going-
stuff like, like Monster and all the stuff online.
I remember going to the grocery store like Kroger here, and on Saturdays they had the Sunday paper already stacked up.
The first edition.
But they don't have them anymore.
No.
If you go, they don't sell the newspapers there anymore. You can't.
No. And
Plus the boxes. You could buy the AJC in a box, or I guess in your local
the Atlanta
town,
Journal-Constitution, everybody.
You could get your local newspaper in a box.
Yeah.
It was a quarter or 50 cents, whatever it was.
Getting back to movie theaters, couple things. Speaking of movies and the movie theater listings in the newspaper, what about the student ID discount? That went away.
Oh, yeah.
You flash your student ID.
Now, when I was growing up in high school,
Yeah.
I had a student card before I worked in the theaters to go to the movies. It was 15 cents.
Wow.
15 cents with a student ID card. Well, normally the movie costs 75 cents to see it.
Oh, man.
Well, that's
But
a huge percentage discount.
So it was 15 cents. Yeah.
big. That's
I mean,
a big discount.
so probably if you equated it to today's money, if it's like $8 to go see the movie, it costs you $1,
Yeah.
$1.25.
Another thing pertaining to movies that have come and gone, the number one blockbuster for months, like back in the 70s and 80s, you'd have a number one movie that would be number one for a long time. And you don't have that anymore. I think Avatar in 2009 might have been the last one. Titanic was number one for months until the terrible Lost in Space movie in March 98, beat the Titanic box office record. But I remember when I was a kid, Superman, the movie, was number one for months. I mean, like into 1979, it came out at the end of 78, and And, movies like the big blockbuster that would
Well,
last.
they made movies to last. I remember when the movie The Sound of Music came out. It played in theaters for years.
Really?
It played in my local town at the Manor Theater, I think for not a year, but for 6 months. They showed the same Sound of Music. 2 shows a day, 2 and 8.
Now, speaking about movies and
it played here in Atlanta at the Atlanta Theater for 2 years.
wow,
Talk about,
it is a good movie still.
Yeah.
Once again, I know that there's still a couple of these that exist throughout the country, but certainly nothing to what it used to be is drive-in movies.
Yeah.
And there was
I
talk.
love
There was
drive-in.
talk with like the current sort of COVID situation. I don't remember the numbers exactly, but they were saying like, just to make my point, that they're saying like 600 drive-in theaters that are still existing. They're just not functioning for business. And they were thinking that they could,
Go in there and get one of my drive-in theater speakers hanging on the.
if you're
I love
if you're
the
in
drive-ins.
if you're in your car, there's already an inherent social distancing, and certainly how much the movie industry has been just taking a beating for lack of ticket sales. I think it's a great idea. I'd love to go to a drive-in theater. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So for people not familiar, like you'd hook this little speaker into your car and like hang on your window, and so that's what gave you the audio for the movie directly into your car, while of course you watched the movie on the big screen. And they still had like concessions and all that stuff.
But these are I have quite a few of these in my collection
For sale at alhardy.com.
I am not surprised, Al.
But now with pop-up drive-ins and even later drive-ins, they went to audio in your car radio.
On your radio,
They
yeah.
had AM transmitters and then later FM transmitters. But I just remember as a kid putting this on the window.
Yeah.
My dad used to always let me put it on my side. It would just hang there on the window.
Well done, Mr.
And if
Hardy.
you're listening to us on SoundCloud or fistfulofradio.com,
That's
go to our YouTube channel, Nostalgic Podblast, or our Facebook group, Nostalgic Podblast, to see this if you have time.
And
it's pretty cool
This one actually
because we're on camera right now.
This one's been restored.
Now, Al obviously has seen a lot more technology come and go than Chance and I have, but he's got where's that Silvertone?
Oh, transistor radio.
Yeah, we talked about this on our Christmas Podblast.
This was my very first transistor radio.
Check that out, folks. A transistor radio. I bet it still works.
Al,
It does. All it needs is a battery.
you have a museum here. I'm telling you.
This is a Sears Silvertone 6 transistor radio.
Sears is about to be a company that's come and gone in our lifetime.
Yeah, and the Sears Auto
I
Center
got this.
near
I think
me-
I was about 10 years old, but I got this for Christmas one year. I just
What kind of batteries that run with? A 9-volt?
9-volt battery.
Okay.
But it's a great memento, and I'll
Now, something
I thought I had won a piece of gold when I got this.
That's pretty cool, Al.
Something I had on my list, and of course, Mr. Wizard here is like, oh yeah, I've got one of those right here.
That's our nickname for Al that Danny came up with. The
No,
Wizard.
no, you came
What's
up with that,
that?
Chance.
I did.
It was on an episode that I couldn't make it personally, but I called in and I was listening.
That's
And you're
right,
like,
he
you're
said.
like Al. He's the wise wizard.
You're right. I did come
And
up
I've
with
been
that.
I've been trying to keep saying it because I thought it was such a great nickname for Al. So I'm trying to promote it in the hopes it'll catch on. So
Yeah,
good enough.
Facebook listeners, if you want to chime in and say hi to the wizard, we'll know who you mean. But one thing I had on my list was pagers and beepers.
I had one of those.
Al's got one right here.
I've got one.
The wizard.
I remember these folks.
Now, Chance, explain to our audience, maybe our younger listeners.
Who wants to bid on that? Who wants to bid? Al's going to have this on eBay by tonight. His pager. Where do we start the bids? Come on.
$5.
$5? All right. I can't do it. I'm not even going to try.
Now, Chance, explain.
Mobilecom, a Bell South company.
Chance, explain
I had a
to our
pager.
younger viewers what a pager and a beeper is.
Okay, you put in a phone number and it alerts whoever you want to call. It's a way to communicate prior to the cell phone.
A lot of doctors had them too.
Yeah, that needed to get in touch with a patient or was needed in surgery. I had one for Crystal Springs Bottled Water Company where I worked in sales, and we would operate out of a van, and we literally would show up to a strip mall plaza and cold call businesses and say, okay, who wants a hot and cold water cooler? And we'll deliver water once a month, however many bottles you want. And to communicate, like I would go one side of the street, my partner in sales would go to the other side of the street, and then we would meet up with the beep from my beeper. You know, this team leader would say, okay, lunchtime, and they'd send a signal out.
I remember, getting back to the theaters a second, before even when I was growing up and I was in high school, they didn't have pagers or beepers.
No.
And I remember a lot of times the usher, which I was at 16, we would get a phone call from a hospital and say, well, Dr. So-and-so is at that theater. We need him immediately. And so I would have to go down the aisle,
with your
paging
flashlight.
Dr. Smith, paging Dr. Smith, paging Dr. Smith. And that's how they knew they had to leave to get to the hospital.
I wonder what the etymology is of why it was like, paging.
Well, people would put in a phone number. It was a way, and you had to get to a pay phone if you didn't have a cell phone to call the number.
Well, and pay phones are another thing that have come and gone.
Phone booths are gone.
Yep.
Well, phone booths, pay phones, and I
Payphones.
referenced to Chance as a high schooler. It was really easy to sort of bend some rules if I was supposed to be home at a certain time or something. Because once, like Chance said, there was no cell phones, so I could be like, "Well, yeah, Mom, I'm sorry, I'm running late. I couldn't find a payphone." Because they were scattered throughout, but a lot of times they had been vandalized and
Remember the
broken.
gum on
Yeah.
the earpiece? You had to check before you used a payphone. For goodness'
Did,
sake.
hey, Chance,
Some
did you,
were really
did you
gross.
always check the
wipe it
coin
off.
slot?
On my pants, I would just
Yeah.
rub the phone on my pants.
Chance, did you always check the coin slot? See,
Of course.
I always did that.
I'm a cheapskate.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I went to high school with a friend of mine. His name was Jimmy, and his dad was an executive at Bell South. And so he would, before we would go somewhere, and he would call his parents or call somebody, and he would put his dime in the payphone, but he had a code. He would get the dime back after he made the call because his dad worked for
They would cover it, yeah.
Bell South.
Well,
I said,
I said,
let me have
let's
that
get
code.
for younger viewers. I remember going to payphones and making long distance calls, and it would just some automated voice would come on and be like, please deposit
Another
$2.25, and so you'd plunk your quarters in, dun, 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 and it would give you some amount of time based on the money you put in, and then it'd make some sort of tone when your call was getting ready to come to end.
Yeah, we did. It made little tones
to
sort
let
of,
you know that
ding, ding,
it'd be like, please deposit 25 more cents, and so lots of like, yeah. So I mean, that's how I made long distance calls from California to a number of my friends and stuff, but because I didn't have a home phone.
when I went to California, I was out there, and when I'd call home, I had to go to a payphone.
Well, yeah.
I stayed in Burbank for a while, and then I would have to go to a payphone, and I'd have $2 or $3.
Well,
Call
Right.
home, meaning Georgia, across the country, you'd call?
Yeah, I was in California.
So how many
Okay.
rolls of quarters would that take you? That must
Oh, I
have
don't
taken a lot of
remember.
money.
It was,
Couple
it was
bucks.
dimes.
It was a couple of dollars.
Yeah, it's a couple bucks.
Yeah, I bet it took dimes in those days.
It took dimes, nickels, and quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything
but a phone call local would be a dime.
A local call is a
In
dime.
my lifetime, the cheapest it was a dime. Then it went to a quarter.
It used to be a nickel, and then it went to a dime,
Dime,
and then
I don't remember the nickel
and then
call.
25 cents
But-
for a local call.
Yeah, no more pay. Like, so what's Superman changing into his Superman?
Well,
outfit
a lot,
into
of,
now.
a lot
Yeah.
of people don't have landlines, and I have one here through
Doctor Who.
from the cable company. I don't have a landline.
I don't have a landline.
from AT&T.
I do.
The only reason I have one is because of the radio show
Right.
here. But a lot of people just have their cell phone. Now, I haven't had a landline with AT&T probably in 10 years or more.
Yeah, I mean, just for my wife and I, it didn't make any kind of fiscal sense to have a landline.
Yeah, and how about the pay toilet? I remember at the airport, you had to pay a dime to use a stall. I'm serious. I mean,
Well, no,
I used to go under. I mean, this is before I was a germaphobe, but I used to slide under that thing and use it anyway. I'm not paying to go to the
Oh
bathroom.
yeah, I think about that too.
You
It's
remember
like,
that, though? Danny, Al, you must remember that.
To avoid paying 25 cents, I'm like sliding across
Yeah.
like some dirty linoleum
I know.
bathroom floor.
Urine on your back.
To save myself a quarter.
Yeah,
That's,
urine on
that's,
your back.
that's being a cheapskate.
Al, do you remember the pay toilet?
Vaguely.
Okay.
I mean,
I
what-
thought you would know.
It wasn't common.
It wasn't common. I
But
never
At
went
the
anywhere.
airport, it was very common.
Well, there was a lot of like convenience store gas stations, and that they'd pull that trick. You know?
No. What the gas stations and stuff? They gave you a key to get into the bathroom.
A key
Yeah,
in a lot of
And then
cases.
you had to bring the key back.
Well, certainly, but there was also some gas stations, and they used it as a way to get income, and they do pay toilets.
Well, speaking of phones again, fax machines are gone.
Yeah.
People don't use fax machines anymore.
I thought you were going to mention the dial-up.
Well, the dial-up too.
The dial-up modem.
My very first computer was an IBM, and it was a dial-up.
Yeah.
I didn't have high-speed internet.
When Champ's talking about the pay toilets in airports and stuff,
Yeah.
this is one thing definitely come and gone in my lifetime. Is when I was a kid, you could smoke inside hospitals, smoke cigarettes. You could not only smoke inside of airports, but you could smoke on the plane. They had like little ashtrays in the handrest between you and the next person. Of course, now you can't even smoke in bars.
Well, when I first got in radio, all the disc jockeys smoked in the control room.
Yeah.
And see, I've never smoked a day in my life. I've never had a cigarette that I can remember. But I remember when I would follow a guy in the control room,
There's ashes all over the board.
everywhere. And even I would have alcohol. I would wipe everything down and throw that stuff away, and you could just smell it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Think about it. The microphone stunk.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not.
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, if you're a non-smoker, us smokers are very stinky to you all, and I apologize.
No,
but I think it's crazy. I mean, it's like
I don't smell it on you though.
I can understand, like restaurants and stuff, but I still think it's kind of ridiculous. To me, it's like there should be a choice. If you're a bar owner, you can say, I'm going to be a non-smoking bar or a smoking bar. And as a patron, if you're like, I don't want to go into that bar because they allow smoking, to me, that is every individual's right to choose that. But I think that, bars should be able to have that option, because at this juncture, if they were able to be like, yeah, cool, we're just a smoking establishment, don't come in here if that bothers you.
But
they'd be packed.
That would alienate a lot of people. A lot of people don't like to breathe cigarettes.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying is, I think that there should be an option. So if you're a non-smoker and you don't want to be around it, you don't have to go there. But I think if there were establishments that were like, yeah, we allow this, and if you don't like it, don't come in, they would pack the house, because it's really annoying as a smoker. It used to be, it's like, yeah, I'm sitting in a bar, I'm having my Jack and Coke, and I'm smoking a cigarette, I'm talking to my friends, and it's winter time. But no, now I've got to like go outside in the
global warming.
Well, he still gets cold occasionally, but I mean, well, okay, you're at a bar in New York City. You want to go stand outside, like, minus 10 degree to have your cigarette.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I want to sit in here with my drink.
Have you ever thought about just quitting?
Yeah, but that's what really makes you think about quitting, when you're out in like sub-zero temperatures to smoke a cigarette and get your nicotine fix.
Well,
what am I doing?
Back in the
No, I just do it defiantly.
But do you remember the cigarette machine?
Oh yeah.
How do you check an ID on that? I think those have gone away. I still see
They
them
went away a
rarely.
long time
ago.
I still see some like in the Virginia Highlands area in some of the bars. Actually, I saw a cigarette machine
The bar-
next to that theater. What's that theater? No, when we were there seeing Clash of the Titans.
You talk about the Plaza?
The Plaza Theater. There's a bar next door, and they had a cigarette machine. I saw it.
Al,
But that was about 7 months ago.
The Blind Pig Tavern, the original location on Baldwin Street that I worked at. So this would have only been 5 years ago. We had a cigarette machine.
Yeah.
I mean,
But they're rare.
Like a lot of times,
I can't believe they're not outlawed, though, because an underage person could buy a pack of cigarettes. You're supposed to be, 18 years old to buy a pack of cigarettes in the state of Georgia?
I think once again, I mean, the Blind Pig Tavern, it's a restaurant bar.
Right.
But
so you pre-qualify the ages somewhat.
I mean, pretty much if anybody under the age of 21 that was coming in there, they're eating with mommy and daddy. So they weren't going to like sneak off to the cigarette machine, with their $3 in quarters and pull a fast one. But yeah, no, we had a cigarette machine. Blind Pig Tavern, Baldwin.
In the
that
early
location
days,
is come and gone.
if you
in my
watch
lifetime.
old movies from the early days, everybody smoked in the movies
all the time.
all the time. I mean, it's just
They did. That's before they knew how deadly it was.
Right.
And this isn't a commercial against smoking. Do whatever you want. Whatever makes you happy.
But now you still see people smoking in movies and in TV shows, but not like you used to.
Right.
At one time.
Now I had a sort of a topic heading here of there was a couple things when I was thinking back about school that my daughter is she turns 21 this July, so when she was in school, they don't teach cursive handwriting anymore.
No, that's gone away.
And it got to a point I can't. Chance, you might, your mom would definitely.
I remember in school they had the alphabet above the blackboard. They had it in
script,
and
I want to say at some point in middle school, we were not allowed to turn in any homework written in print. It had to be in cursive.
Yeah.
Period.
It's an art. I mean, it's just people don't. I mean, I still write cursive. I've never. I will print, but I still like cursive. I still. In fact, my notes here are in cursive.
My cursive handwriting is so hard for anybody to read that I finally got to the point where I was like, "School be damned, I'm writing in print." Another thing that Chance and I were sort of the generation that got hit with this because it wasn't a thing prior to us, and they gave up on it fairly quickly. Was trying to teach American children the metric system.
Yeah.
We'll never be as advanced as Europe in that regard.
I'm sure like they're all these kids now are like, metric system? What are you talking about? Well, yeah, no, they were trying to beat it into our heads.
Right.
Which reminds me,
kilometers and milliliters.
Remember
in Celsius instead of Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Remember dot
temperature.
matrix printers? You don't have those anymore.
I don't even know.
I've got one downstairs. Yeah.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
He's probably got a fax machine downstairs.
And there are
Chance.
No, I threw it away because it broke.
Getting back to smoking in bars, there are still some that allow smoking in the state of Georgia, where we're at now. We're in the Atlanta area. Place called My Friend's Place. I met this guy Jim Niarchos there, and it smelled like it was a lot of smoke in there.
I didn't know. I didn't know they legally could anymore. I mean, at least I know in Athens. I mean, it's like an ordinance. Like they just done. I mean,
I think that's an Athens
shut
ordinance.
you down.
Yeah, there's in Cobb County in the Georgia area. There's still some places you can smoke inside. Yeah,
Now another thing I thought about,
not at the Battery though.
with school, in conjunction with the fire drills, where we'd all have to we'd have these designated meeting spots with our classroom like outside. I don't think they called them bomb drills, but it was like these duck and cover drills.
Right.
And
Tornado.
Well, you say tornado, but it all hailed from like the Cuban Missile Crisis when they thought we were going to have a nuclear exchange with like Russia.
And then when people were building bomb shelters and that sort of thing. Remember, they had they had the civil defense signs everywhere.
Right.
If you went downtown, they would have, say, a civil defense sign, and if in case something like that happened, that was a direction where you could go and protect yourself.
Right.
And they had the civil defense signs all over the place. I remember them well. They were yellow with black writing on them.
Well, so Al's referencing, so a lot of people with the nuclear arms race took it upon themselves to privately build bomb shelters like on their own properties and stuff.
Oh yeah, they were very popular back in the if you could afford one.
In the 50s?
Did you ever see
60s?
the movie Cloverfield Lane?
No.
No, I never saw that.
Okay, well, you should check it out. I don't want to give anything away, but it's just a fairly recent movie, it takes place in this guy's bomb shelter where some young lady kind of wakes up and is in this bomb shelter with this older guy, and he's telling her that there's been this sort of disaster, and he has saved her. But she starts to wonder if she has just been abducted.
And they were all well stocked.
I do remember that.
I can't. I'm trying to think. I'm snapping on his name. Who was the guy that played the husband to Roseanne Barr on the Roseanne show?
Oh,
John Goodman.
John Goodman.
I kept thinking John Candy. Yeah, John Goodman plays the guy.
Oh yeah, I would. If I was trapped in a bomb shelter with that guy, I'd also wonder if I was about to. Well, family show.
But the bomb shelters had stock. They had canned food stocked in there just in case, Of course, but you never saw a bathroom down there.
What about Y2K? That was kind of like a modern day. When that hit, everyone thought the computers were going to shut down, and I remember I sold a ton of bottled water in those days.
I'm sure.
Leading up to Y2K, everyone was stocking up. It was quite a time.
So once again, for our younger listeners. Basically, the Y2K phenomenon, it was something about on computers, that
When the year 2000 came around, the world was going to come.
well,
to an
it
end.
was
Didn't.
computers were not going to be able to differentiate
Yes.
the ending digits of like
new
1999
Yeah.
to once it went to ending in double zeros.
Yeah.
That computers would not be able to differentiate
But you
between
know, they did.
it being 1900 or 1800.
But they did. They did.
Well, of course they did.
Yeah.
But there was. I mean, it was in the news, and I mean, it was legitimate. Where people thought that basically, the airline flights are going to come crashing down, and the computers are going to all fry, and your life savings will be gone, and the banks won't.
Y2K Fears. There was a movie,
Yeah.
and it was highly rated.
Something else.
They
That,
stoked the
we
fear.
all like music. Something else just sort of disappeared is the iPod.
Yeah,
Remember the
not
iPod?
Too long, yeah, for the mid 2000s,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
yeah.
if you find an iPod now, like on eBay or something, they're very expensive.
Really?
Because they're collector's items, I suppose.
No, once again, so explain to people who didn't have one what an iPod
Well,
is.
an
or
iPod was a device that you could, as big as maybe the palm of your hand, you could download all your favorite tunes on there, and thousands of tunes in MP3 format. And you could divide them up into categories if you wanted, country or rock or whatever you wanted. You could divide it up and create your own playlist.
So does not,
Yeah.
was it like Spotify or Pandora? I don't do any of this stuff.
Well,
so like
this
I didn't have
is-
an iPod, but I also didn't do Spotify.
No.
or anything, so
This was
I don't know the
before-
differences between these.
This was before
Well, of course.
Spotify and all
Yeah.
this.
Well, yeah.
The first download company was Napster. Remember?
I was about to mention Napster,
You
and they got in trouble.
You could go to Napster and download your favorite tunes, but the problem with Napster is the copyright laws. People were downloading stuff and not paying any royalties for the music, and so therefore, they eventually got shut down. But Napster was very popular for a
Big
long
lawsuit.
time.
So the guys
Yeah.
in Metallica got really pissed off at Napster.
Yeah.
And I want to say, I think it really, in my circle of friends, it changed a lot of perception about Metallica because, like, yeah, man, we're this like really angry heavy metal band and stuff, and rawr. And then all of a sudden, it's like where you hear them bitching and whining about, like,
Yeah.
you're downloading our songs and we're not getting our copyright money, and like whiny
But
little
see,
biatches.
but what happened
and it was like, wait a second, you guys are you're millionaires. And you're bitching about me downloading your song because I'm going to go buy the CD anyway.
Well,
and
speaking
I really
of
think
that,
it put them in a bad light.
But what happened was, with the popularity of streaming music and downloading music, it killed the CD business. People quit buying CDs. I remember a lot of stores quit selling CDs.
Well, how is it any different now when I can go on YouTube and look up any song that's ever been recorded?
Because
I can find like
Because those are the official sources.
those are the official sources,
And they pay.
and they pay. It's all
Yeah.
it's all paid for.
Like
So-
Vivo, whatever you call
well,
it.
but what I'm saying, does that not affect CD sales?
Of course, it does.
Your point is well
Well, see,
taken, and you're right.
Most stores
What's
don't.
the difference?
You can't. If you want to buy CDs, you buy them online. Stores just don't sell CDs anymore.
I think the difference was the studios wanted control, and the studios can put it on YouTube, but Napster was just anybody.
Well, I'm just saying, like, okay,
Downloading
I work,
and
and
uploading.
I have consistently worked with people much younger than me in the restaurant business for a long time now, and all of them they've got this stuff on their phone, and there's these little speakers that they'll plug their phone into at work, and whether they've got saved playlists,
Playlist,
on
yeah,
their
it's a
phone.
playlist.
Right? So they're not going out and buying CDs,
No.
because they don't have to.
No.
And remember,
there's no-
Walmart doesn't sell CDs anymore.
There's
and-
no,
you
there's
know,
no
I
need for
don't
them.
think.
I have a CD player in my car. I think I've used it one time. But remember, also with CDs, you could buy the CD cases.
Yeah.
You put all your CDs in this little case to keep in your car wherever you went. They don't make those. You can't find those anymore.
I will say I was never a fan of those because, like, I still have CDs that I bought back in the 80s that play perfectly. My wife was one of those that they
Well, CDs should last a long time.
She'd
I
take
mean,
them. She'd take them out of the hard cases and put them in these little sleeve containers,
Yeah,
like
right,
we're
the
just
CD
so it's
cases,
like,
yeah.
okay, you just bought this CD 3 months ago and it's scratching and skipping all over the place. I've got this CD that I bought in 1987 that plays perfectly because I kept it in the hard case. So I never liked the CD holders. I prefer to play my CDs. One, because I like the speakers on my stereo much better than the speakers on my little robot phone.
I have plenty of CDs. I just don't buy them
Secondly,
anymore.
and this probably hails back to, I know they haven't completely come and gone in our lifetime, but LP records. And it was like, hey, you'd buy a record, you'd put on song 1, side A, and you'd listen to all of side A, and you'd flip the record over, and you'd listen to all side B. Where the newer generations are much more geared to this song or that song.
Well, even back in the vinyl days, that's why 45s came around, because you had the hit on one side and they had the B-side, the B-side.
But, so I'm the same way.
Instead of buying the album, you bought the 45.
I like CDs because, I want to hear the whole album. I mean, granted, on that album, because it's like, in my mind, if I only like 1 or 2 songs on your new album, I'm just not going to buy it. But the bands that I like more than not, say there's 12 songs on there, on whatever the Houses of the Holy Led Zeppelin album, there might be a song on there that's not my favorite, but I pretty much liked every single song, so I want to listen to the whole album. I don't want to I want to listen to song number 3 off of this album and song number 7 off of this album. And
that's why I never purchased albums. But I mean, I do have a lot, but I like
the hits.
The hits,
That's right. You have 2 or 3 jukeboxes here,
Chance,
loaded with 45s.
Right.
But not
Chance,
CDs, 45 records.
Yeah.
We do know that there's a fair amount of things that Al just didn't really care for.
I didn't really care for.
So Al probably, I was like, those other songs, I didn't really care for those. But I like, and I still sort of visually, I can remember, I'm like, Black Dog. Okay. Yeah. That's song 3, side A of Led Zeppelin 4.
Right.
Because I've got those visuals.
And for music, we'll go to television in a minute. I remember when I used to get sick and stay home from school.
Oh, yeah.
We'd all sit home and watch television. I'd lay in, the den or wherever where the TV was and watch TV.
Right.
And on all the networks, from 9 o'clock in the morning until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it was nothing but game shows.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't have that anymore, And then, of course, at 1 o'clock, the soap operas came on.
Oh, yeah.
But I used to watch all the game shows, when I was homesick.
And The Price is Right was the king of all game shows.
Al,
to me, anyway.
Do you remember when remote controls for TVs became because I remember I was pretty much my dad's remote control.
Get up and change the channel.
Exactly, because we'd be laying on the floor close to the TV, and my dad'd be like, turn it to channel 11.
Well, when I grew up,
turn it to channel 5.
When I was growing up, for the longest, we only had one TV station in my town.
What?
One TV
in Wilmington,
station.
North Carolina?
Channel 6. It was one television
What
station.
affiliate was it? NBC?
All 3. They carried CBS, ABC, and NBC programming.
Wow.
And of course, now today they have multiple. They have all the networks and Fox and all these other. But so they would just they would carry some CBS shows, some ABC shows, and some NBC shows. One TV station.
Well, what do you know? Hey, how about this, Al? You alluded towards trains a minute ago, and we talked about what they would transport.
Mm-hmm.
Well, something came and went, and it ended in 2017, near and dear to my heart and the hearts of many kids.
What?
Here's some music to tip you off as to what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know about this till you told me.
Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus is
I went
more.
to the circus as a kid. I liked them, I suppose, as a kid, but I never could stand the smell of a circus.
Neither could I.
I don't know why.
The monkeys, the elephants,
and the animals. But I enjoyed the circus as a kid, and I remember, of course, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey is gone. I think they folded in 2017.
It folded May 21st, 2017, and was founded in 1884. And a movie we saw, I liked it, that I recommend, The Greatest Showman, starring Hugh Jackman. It's a musical about the origin of the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey
the first
Circus.
movie I saw,
Good movie
with Jimmy Stewart was called The Greatest Show on Earth.
Zac Efron's in it. Sorry,
but I like the circus okay, and then of course in the later years they didn't put the tents up in a lot of cities. They would, I remember it was they had the circus at the Omni, and then they had it at Phillips Arena at the time, which is now State Farm Arena.
Yeah.
But
and in Gwinnett, it would come to the Gwinnett Arena.
Yeah.
In Gwinnett County, Georgia.
So I mean, the circus was fine.
Now,
but
Chance,
but I love the motorcyclist in the big ball. There was a dude going around in a big metallic circle. Yeah. That was cool. And he had the flamethrower, the high walker. Did you like that?
Oh,
the acrobat?
The trapeze?
I like the trapeze stuff. I like the trapeze stuff.
That's death-defying. The lions, now it's
the
sad.
Lion Tamer?
They would drug those lions. And the only circus you find these days is like the Shriner Circus and like at state fairs. And with COVID, I don't even know if those exist anymore.
No.
But I like the circus. Okay,
No,
I
so-
like the food, and they have those little lights, like all those gizmos, like the little flashlights.
You can buy all kinds of toys and stuff like
Now,
that.
now
Yeah.
what's the reasoning
And-
behind
well,
Ringling Brothers?
let me tell you. Let me tell you
Yeah.
real quick.
Well, people quit going.
What killed the ticket sales pre-COVID was when they got rid of the elephants, and that was because of PETA. And people like Bob Barker, who are animal lovers, they actually lobbied and paid millions to have elephants because they were mistreated, allegedly, by the circus. Have them removed from the circus. And when the elephants went away, the ticket sales plummeted.
Well, I think everything has its time. You know, it was just time for the circus to move on. It's just it got to be it was too expensive, and people just quit going.
Well, I suppose
Cirque du Soleil kind of stole their thunder.
Well, I was going to say there's things like Cirque du Soleil that have a lot of that,
Yeah, but if you want to see
death-defying
that, you basically have to go to Vegas to see it. I mean, they do tour occasionally. Maybe they'll start back when COVID's
well,
finally over with.
and I certainly think that probably when they're done properly, zoos are a much more humane way, for animals to have a quality of
No,
life. Where
I
people
love
can,
the zoo.
Where people
you know.
get well. I mean, dude, the Atlanta Zoo used to be a nightmare. I mean, there
Well,
was
it's
literally
really a nice place
I mean,
now.
and now it's nice, but dude, they had a building for the big cats, and it was literally. I mean, it looked like you were looking at a prison cell. That there was 2 rows of these cages that were, whatever, 6 feet by 8 feet, and there'd just be this tiger walking back and
The
forth.
best zoo
in
I
this
ever went
cage.
to in my life was the San Diego Zoo.
I've been to the San Diego Zoo.
Yeah, that
I mean, the
was
Atlanta
really-
Zoo now is really, really nice.
It's really nice.
But I suppose, if you think just, regardless of the space for the animals to move around, where it's just if you just think of the regimen of a circus, where you're this elephant and you're put on this truck and you're trucked from one city to another city, and then you're taken off the truck and you're put in some holding cage, and then you get led into the big top and you do your little elephant act, and then you get led back out to a cage and then put back on a truck, and then off to the next city you go. I mean, that's I can understand why people would have a problem with that.
Let's
like
talk
the
about,
carnival.
we all like food. We like to eat.
That's
You know,
for sure.
How about restaurants that have come and gone?
Okay.
All right, for
Oh, yeah.
instance, remember Howard Johnson's?
Oh, yeah, the hotel chain.
Yeah.
They were big in the 50s.
Are they entirely gone, or are they just no longer in the
I'll
South?
look it up.
I think they're entirely gone. How about Burger Chef?
Yeah, we mentioned that.
Burger
Burger
Chef.
Chef is gone. I think Burger King did buy them out. Remember,
There also used to be a Burger Queen, and they had a little logo. It was Queenie Bee.
I remember that. I haven't
Well,
thought
the-
about that in years. Oh, my gosh.
they used to have a lot of burger joints. And another place that I used to like to go to was Lum's. Remember Lum's?
That I don't
Nope.
remember.
You don't remember
Tell us about
Lum's?
it. No.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
They had one downtown on Spring Street. I have a Lum's glass. It's in the kitchen and in the cabinet. But they specialized in Lum's hot dogs. They were delicious.
I never heard of it.
You've never heard of Lum's?
No.
I'll show you a Lum's glass I have.
I mean, I lived in Atlanta. We moved there in 1973, but I don't.
Remember the big snowstorm we had? I was working at Turner and I got stuck downtown in the snowstorm. And so we couldn't get home. And so we all, walked over to Spring Street and went to Lum's and stayed in Lum's and
Stayed
for
where it's
half
warm
the
and-
night. Yeah, where it was warm. But you don't remember Lum's.
I don't.
And you're in the restaurant business.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
You don't. Chance you don't remember Lum's.
I mean, maybe if I saw their logo or something, it might. But the name doesn't ring any.
look up Lum's. Anyway,
Okay.
and another one that's come and gone is Steak and Ale.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
love
okay,
steak
yeah,
and ale. I
steak-
love
yeah,
that
steak and
salad
ale.
bar. That was
Yeah.
good. That's a
Steak
good
and
one.
Ale. Steak and Ale's gone.
Well, and there was what was that? Ponderosa Steakhouse.
Ponderosa and Bonanza.
Bonanza, Sizzler.
The Sizzler, they're gone.
I think
Well,
they're out
Western
west, but-
Sizzler. Well, see, as I say, I think some of these still exist but they-
Regionally.
but they've retreated to certain sections of the country, as opposed to like Frisch's Big Boy. It still exists.
Well, we like to go to Buffalo House right up the road here.
Yeah.
But that used to be a Western Sizzling Steakhouse.
It looks like one.
Yeah, that's what it used to be a long time ago.
Howard Johnson update. There are 322 locations
Really?
as of December 31st,
Yeah.
2019. Founded in 1925, 96 years ago in Quincy, Massachusetts.
Well, they had the hotel and the restaurant.
well, yeah.
And in 1954, there was one in Savannah, Georgia, a motor lodge.
Really?
Yeah, Howard
thought
Johnson.
Yeah, so I thought they still existed. I just
I'll look up
they-
Lom's now.
They might have just retreated
Lom's.
from Georgia. I'm gonna look at Western Sizzling.
Okay. Al, what else you got while he's looking that up?
Remember Sambo's?
Yes.
Sambo, and later became Shoney's.
Big Boy.
Yeah, Shoney's, Big Boy. And Bennigan's Saloon. Remember Bennigan's?
I got food poisoning from there.
Remember Kenny Rogers Roasters?
Chicken tenders. Yep. We talked about that in our last Podblast.
They had one of those not too far from me. I used to go to.
We got a lot of Facebook comments to get to after you're done because I've been talking a lot. So go ahead.
But Lum's was a wonderful place. The food was really good, and they specialized in their beer.
See, I just typed in Western Sizzling,
and
it's just pulling up a whole bunch of. There's one apparently in Dalton, Georgia.
Really?
Western Sizzling, Oxford, Alabama. So
I don't think
Opeka, Alabama, Rome, Georgia. Those ones. So once again, they're not entirely gone.
I can't find Lum's anywhere.
Is that the original chain, Lum's, or are they just buy the name? And
I'm talking about Western Sizzling.
That's what I'm saying. Western Sizzling.
I don't see anything about Lum's.
Yeah, I mean here Western Sizzling near me. There's one Dalton, Georgia. I mean, there's very few.
There's got to be a Lum's.
Dalton, Georgia.
There's one in Oxford,
Lum's
Alabama, Rainbow City, Alabama. So there's not many. I mean, that's the ones near us.
I see Rogers and Lum's Cafe.
How do you spell Lum's?
L-O-M-S?
No, L-U-M-S.
Oh, I was putting L-O-M-S.
No, L-U-M-S.
Lum's. I thought you said Lum's.
Lum's. L-U-M-S.
Lum's, Wikipedia. Here we go.
Yums.
Oh, wow. It was founded in 1956 in Miami Beach, Florida by Stuart and Clifford S. Perlman when they purchased Lum's hot dog stand for $10,000.
They specialized in those. They were delicious. And they had one right there on Spring Street downtown.
Defunct as of 1982.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're gone.
Yeah, it was. They were a good little restaurant.
Are you reading that?
I was just trying to look at their logo.
What, at Lum's?
Still,
It looked like a hot dog.
Still doesn't ring any kind of bell. I remember like in the Cumberland Mall, the hot dog place was called the Hot Doggery.
Yeah, I remember the hot doggery.
I don't remember. I didn't go to that mall very much. Any Facebook comments?
Yeah, lots. Paula, the Tupperware party.
Yeah, they used to have those. Yeah.
The ladies. Let's see.
Or men interested in Tupperware. Let's not be a...
Your speaker got a compliment that you held up for the camera, your drive-in speaker.
That was
Speaking
really
of drive-in,
cool.
I meant to mention our friend Bill Tush runs here a drive-in Thursday through Sunday, the Sandy Springs Cinema and Tap House. And there's the Starlight Drive-In. Anyway, I digress.
Nice.
All right, Facebook. Wesley says during MCI's existence, they charged 5 cents for phone calls on Sundays and 10 cents the rest of the week.
Well, he's right about that. They had special days where it was cheaper.
Evenings and weekends. And then he says, my dad used to have a pager similar to the one Al has when my dad worked for Bell South years ago.
And this is a Bell South pager.
Let's see. There we got a lot more comments. AAA still has maps. Our friend Michael Hopkins says that.
Yeah.
Mark Frito, still have a cigarette machine in the Buckhead Tavern that I frequent. $8 a pack.
Oh, wow.
Light up after last call and the doors are locked. Industry folks from all over the area show up just because they know they can smoke.
Well, I guess they're licensed for them. I guess you can still get them. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, vending companies, I used to collect jukeboxes, and there was a company that I used to deal with here in Atlanta called Star Vending. And they had cigarette machines as well as jukeboxes and pinball machines and stuff.
Gumball
I love
machines.
pinball. Pinball's come back. They're making new ones now.
But they distributed the cigarette machines. They had to be licensed. You had to. So
Another Facebook comment. Wesley Millsap. When I was in middle school, we had Code Red drills.
Code Red.
They were created in response to the 9/11 attack. So he's a young guy.
Okay.
Wesley. Penny Candy, says Paula Carter.
I remember Penny
Now
Candy.
I wonder if the Code Red drill was the same where you'd
Get under the desk.
desk and cover your head, or
That's what
is
he
it
just
like-
said.
Okay.
In Code Red drills, we would get under desks and tables.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Duck and cover.
And another comment, prior to iPods and MP3 players, there were Sony Walkman CD players. And we mentioned that in the cassette, the Sony cassette Ryan Settles mentioned in our Christmas show.
Yeah,
Yes.
I still have one. Well, actually, I have.
Has got one right here.
I have an MP3 player. It's not an iPod, but yeah.
And Wesley,
I have one.
this will interest you, Al. Wesley says when Napster came out, there was also an MP3 download software company called Kazaa. Kazaa.
I vaguely remember that.
I knew you'd remember it.
Yeah.
I don't.
I remember that.
These days, when you want to look for a song to download for free, you have to Google the song with .mp3 at the end. A little helpful hint there.
Little cheat code.
Little cheat
But
code.
I never downloaded music at all. I always bought mine.
I'm the same way.
I was scared I was going to screw my computer up or something. I just never downloaded anything.
To your point, Al, about YouTube, and Danny's point about YouTube, another way, this is what Wesley says again, another way to look for a song to download for free is to look for a YouTube clip of the song and use the URL in an online YouTube to MP3 converter. Never heard of that technique.
He just spoke way too much robot language for me to understand.
I
was like 10001 does not compute.
Basil Chesterman. Dawn Wells had pancreatic cancer as well. I thought she died of COVID-19, but she did have another condition related to that cancer.
Well, they say that people that have conditions, if they get COVID, then they're more likely to die of that particular condition.
Right.
COVID just kind of pushed them over the cliff.
And another comment, the San Diego Zoo was used in a wildlife show Nickelodeon did in the 90s called Nickelodeon's Wild Side Show.
Really?
I love these facts from our audience members.
They're a smart bunch.
Ryan's Family Steakhouse is no more. They went bankrupt in 2016.
They had a Ryan's near me up here at the mall.
Well, 2016, that's relatively new.
Yeah.
One more comment. When they upgraded the zoo in Atlanta, they left the lion behind the scenes in his habitat to live out his days.
Oh, good.
And remember the giant ape, or the gorilla?
Willie B.
Willie B.
He passed away years ago.
Sad. I think he made it to 50 or something.
I want to say at the zoo now, there's either some kind of statue or some kind of plaque or something that's about Willie B, which I thought was kind of cool because I remember that was like a really big deal. Of course, for the zoo in Atlanta, the most recent real big deal was when they get use of the pandas.
You know, speaking of restaurants come and gone, how about the big box stores that are gone? Because, you know, Amazon and all these online places, Toys R Us is gone.
Oh yeah.
I used to love to go to Toys
Lionel
R Us.
Playworld's been gone for a long time.
KB Toys, remember them? They're gone.
Once again,
KB,
are they totally
in the mall.
gone?
They were in the mall.
in the mall.
Well, I know, but once again, is the company totally gone, or is just arcade?
Well, you just don't see them. I don't know.
Well, Toys R Us is, I think, still around. They got rescued. But there's not that many locations.
Of course, we mentioned Blockbuster video stores are gone.
Mm-hmm. Except for one in Oregon State, an independent one.
Circuit City is gone. Remember Circuit City?
Oh, yeah.
Service merchandise.
In fact,
is Radio Shack around? I'm sure they're gone.
They're gone. Tandy company.
In fact, the movie theater we go to, Studio Movie Grill, that used to be a Circuit City. You know, they had what was that store that sold?
KB Toys went defunct in 2009.
Yes, I thought. Anyway, that Studio Movie Grill used to be a Circuit City. H.H. Craig.
H.H. Gregg, yeah.
Gregg, they're gone.
Yeah.
A&P food stores are gone.
Oh, I liked A&P.
Borders is gone, the bookstore.
First cookie and cream ice cream I got at A&P back in 1995.
Wow, I didn't know
Oreo
Borders was
cookies and
gone.
cream ice
Borders
cream.
is gone, yeah.
What about New Coke? That was one of yours, Danny.
Yeah.
That was a flop.
1985.
Oh, yeah, that was a huge
honestly
flop.
couldn't tell the difference that much.
It was Pepsi.
You could like
It was
side
a
by
little bit
side.
Coke
Sweeter.
label.
It was just sweeter.
It was sweeter.
Well, I remember the
You
funny
could tell
thing was
it was different than Coke Classic. You could. It was a different formula. Sorry, go ahead.
the funny thing was is people were like, when the news hit about New Coke, people were stockpiling the regular Coke or Classic Coke as it's called now, because people were convinced it was going to be like worth money.
I remember that.
You know, so it was like, no, man, I've got my 12-pack of real Coke at the bottom, and it's going to be worth millions.
And then it explodes, after a period of time. If you keep that in a warm environment. I used to keep collector Coke cans in a tub, and like the syrup and the carbonation
Chance.
breaks down chemically.
If you keep them in bottles, they last longer.
Chance,
Yes, that's true.
Chance, here's a memory. You know, the very first time I tasted New Coke was with you.
I remember.
We were.
Was it mixed with anything?
No, we were far too young for that kind of silliness. Owl, the wizard.
I don't know.
We were at Six Flags, or we were going to Six Flags, and we walked over to some little convenience store or something like that. And
he was smart. We got a loaf of bread and a pack of bologna. He goes, Chance, for a fraction of what we'll pay in there at a stand,
in there to eat,
let's eat our lunch here. And we were actually under the underpass of I-20.
Exactly, we were underneath the underpass because, like,
like a couple hobos.
You could get your hand stamped, so you could come back into the park.
Yeah,
but I was like, so I was like, this is dumb. I'm not going to spend $10 for a hot dog. Mm-hmm. So we walked over to the convenience store. We got, like I said, like a pack of bologna and a loaf of bread, and New Coke. We bought New Coke. and we went underneath the overpass under I-20, and that is the very first time I ever had New Coke.
Remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah,
I thought you were a genius for saving us money
of course.
on food and drinks.
Dude, I've been a genius since the day you met me.
One hand tied behind my back.
You know, we still have to get together sometime.
Yeah,
over a beer, and you need to tell me some deep, dark secrets about Chance.
I know far too many. I wish I could like just purge some of them from my mind.
Henry's listening. My 9-year-old nephew probably, and my niece Molly.
But
We were just talking about drinking soda underneath the overpass. There's nothing, you know.
Al, did you have something to add about libraries? I know you touched on it earlier, but you talked about the
Dewey
Dewey
Decimal
Decimal System.
System.
What about the microfilm, microfiche?
Microfiche.
Well, you know, I think they're still around. You can use those. But remember in the library, the card catalog?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, you pull out and search for your book or, you know, in a
Well,
card
I was telling
catalog.
Chance, somewhat recently, I was at the University of Georgia library, and basically it's computer, and you can type in your your author, your subject,
Yeah.
or whatever, and it just pulls it up on the computer screen where it says, okay, it's row whatever it was.
Right.
But what Chance is referring to, both you guys, the Dewey Decimal System and the card catalog, where they had boxes of little Rolodex cards, and some of them would be subject, or some would be author or whatever. So if you're like, okay, subject, dinosaurs. So you had to go alphabetically and find dinosaur.
Right.
And then it would list all the books that they had on dinosaurs, and then you had to sort of be a little bit discerning to be like, okay, this is a fictional story about dinosaurs versus this is, depending what your homework assignment was, this is an actual, paleontology dinosaur thing. And then you had to go, with the little call sign on the card that said this is row whatever, number whatever, aisle, and all that stuff. And then you had to go try to find your book.
It was so antiquated, and I had to do customers. I had to do community service. I got a speeding ticket, and instead of paying, I volunteered to do community service in a library back in 2012, and they still use that Dewey Decimal System. At least they did then. That was almost 10 years ago. So
Yeah.
No, probably not now.
probably not now.
I mean, I'm sure there's some holdouts. If you go to some rural town, they might not have their system updated. But I kept telling my daughter this when she was coming up through school. Just doing a book report. Once again, okay, like say you're you got to do a book report on Ulysses S. Grant. It had to be like, okay, I've got to get my parents to drive me to the library because
Right.
I can't drive. I have to go into this, find this card catalog thing. I have to try to look up the subject of Ulysses S. Grant, and then I have to go try to find this book. Now, always the problem is if your classroom was given an assignment, everybody's going to do a report about Ulysses S. Grant. Every kid in your class was going to head to the library, so a lot of times you couldn't find the books because they had been checked out. Where now, if you got to do a report on Ulysses S. Grant, you just type on your computer Ulysses S. Grant, and you can find out everything
Well, I remember,
you need to know.
Growing up as a kid, we had the bookmobile that came through our neighborhood.
Oh,
Especially in the summertime, when school was out, you could, the bookmobile would come from the library, and get your books, and then next week they come back and
Was that
swap
like a
it.
book fair, or the book was a separate than the book fair? I love the book fair.
No, the
They still do
bookmobile
book fairs.
it was like it looked like a UPS truck. It was just the back of it was a library of books.
Like an ice cream truck, but with
Yes,
books.
it was books. It's called the bookmobile.
Facebook, Radio Shack has returned as an internet-only store to compete with Amazon.
I did read about that. I did read about that.
One thing my wife and I were talking about, and once again, it is not completely gone, but has been greatly diminished, is writing checks. Now,
Good one.
Pretty much the only time I see it is,
Well, I
is
still write
businesses.
some checks every now and then.
Oh, you're the
Like-
guy
like-
I'm
like-
stuck behind in the grocery store still writing a check.
No, I
so
don't do-
irritating.
I don't do that. I
Like
pay
businesses
cash.
will still use checks because they have their business account or whatever, and I guess it's easier to be like, okay, this is where I went to buy produce or bread or dry goods or whatever to do their in-store finances and stuff. But like people I don't even know if I'd accept a personal check.
Well,
from
and what they
somebody.
do now, like
At this point,
I
know. I mean, it'd be so weird if somebody was like,
But
here's a check. I'd be
But
like,
what they do now, like Home Depot, for example, if you go to pay your bill with a check, they put it in this machine. Then you cancel. You get your check right back. You don't get it mailed by the bank. They give you your check.
It just
right
takes
back.
like the digits off the check
Yes,
and immediately
and
voids it or
cancels
something.
Voids it, and they give it back to you.
It's weird.
Well, fellas, do you think Amazon has been a curse or a help? Because it's put all these wonderful places out of business.
Well, that's hard to say because I love Amazon.
I'm starting to cut back.
I've gotten very few things from Amazon.
No.
I'll
ever.
do eBay. I don't want to support Amazon.
Well, no,
I really don't.
I'm a Prime member, and I like Amazon. I'm not going to make any bones.
Well, you like it
about
because of the movies.
Well, I like it because you can get anything you want. You know, and so I just where's he going?
I don't know. Probably use the restroom. Or have
But
a smoke
anyway,
or something.
I just like Amazon. I mean, yeah, have they put people out of business? Sure, they have. But,
Big time.
But a lot of stores like Walmart. I mean, a lot of Costco. You can buy stuff online with them. You know.
This is true. Now, how
Yeah.
about some fads like the pet rock,
I
mood rings?
I never had a pet rock.
Lava lamps.
And I remember when I worked at Channel 17, we used to sell mood rings. They used to sell them. You could buy it
In the 70s?
Yeah, you could buy it online. You could buy mood rings.
And let's see.
Never bought one of those either.
Oh, and we have a comment, Facebook. Paula Carter, husband said hot pants in terms of fashions.
Yes, I remember hot pants, Paula.
And remember bell-bottom jeans?
I had some
bell-bottom
bell-bottom
pants?
jeans. Bell-bottom jeans, yeah, I had those.
It's funny. There's an old science fiction show I like. At the time, it was so futuristic. Not so much anymore. Space 1999, and they wore these terrible bell bottoms. Rudy Genrich, who was a big fashion designer, he designed their costumes. Anyway, but the year 1999 was so long ago. I remember when I was a kid, it seemed so futuristic, and in that silly
Well,
show,
what really promoted bell bottom was if you ever watched the Sonny and Cher comedy hour.
Oh, yeah.
they always wore bell bottoms.
Yeah.
it was a thing from the 60s. I mean, it was just that was the style.
But in that 1999, the moon is blown out of Earth orbit because they stored nuclear waste on the moon. It's so preposterous. So these people are trapped on Moonbase Alpha going through space, lost in space. Anyway, I digress. But it was filmed in Pinewood Studios, England, where they shot the James Bond movies. It was actually a very expensive production.
Well, we have 10 minutes to.
Okay, because
finish out the show.
I've got one more thing. I want to plug while Danny's stepped away, our new feature called Movie Views. And we don't, if you're listening on fistfulofradio.com, we don't have it on air yet. But we just basically review new movies, and sometimes we'll do older movies. But it's just Al and I's opinion. We're not journalists. We're just movie lovers. And Al knows a lot about film. We've both worked on movie productions. And so it's called Movie Views, and we reviewed Wonder Woman 84. And at the end of the show, I have a couple comments about that. Since we had a contest, and I've been talking about Wonder Woman 84 all year.
So
on
that
the
means every
Podblast.
time we go to the movies, we have to review it?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. I'm just letting people know if you go to our YouTube channel or on SoundCloud and all. What are the other podcast applications out there? We're on TuneIn.com. Spotify,
SoundCloud.
Yeah, you'll see movie views, and that's our movie review if you want to
Apple,
check it out.
we're on Apple,
and they're short; they're like 10 to 30 minutes at the most.
Well, the last one was 26 minutes.
Yeah, but the first 2 minutes and 40 seconds was just nonsense music. It wasn't an actual
You feel
review.
better?
I did.
Okay.
We were just talking about some fads: the pet rock, Danny, the mood ring, bell-bottom pants. We already mentioned hula hoops, thanks to
Chance.
our listener Paula.
Do you remember that stuff? I think it was just called slime.
Green slime.
Green slime. Yeah.
Well, that was
I
big on
remember that.
Nickelodeon. You can't do that on television. People would get slimed.
Yeah, I remember that.
But before
And
that,
it was
it's like
green
you
slime.
bought. It was like, it was supposed to look like some little like toxic waste barrel.
Yes. Yeah, nuclear waste.
Yeah, and it was just literally, I don't know what it was made of, but it was like just green goop that like kind of stretched and stuck, and we bought it. I don't know why.
You know, one thing, we talked about computers earlier, before we get out of here. Remember these?
Al, the wizard.
What is it?
Quarter-inch floppies.
Oh, floppy disks.
Yeah,
Floppy disk.
remember those?
Yeah.
What do you have on those disks?
I have no idea. I can't even get it open. But that's remember those?
I think Al needs to open up like a tech museum, and just all these little gadgets and stuff, and be like,
I got a lot of junk, too.
Remember this?
Well, wait till in an upcoming Podblast, our next show, we're going to do one on Three Stooges. Al found, this is so cool, an audio tape from 1981 he had sent to him by a director of the Three Stooges classic shorts. Al had written him a fan letter and asked some questions, and the guy took the time to do a 30-minute tape of his voice. So cool, man.
You know,
We're
I
gonna
was
share some of it.
at the time I was working at Turner, and we ran the Three Stooges, and so I got in touch with Ed Burns. He passed away in 2000, but he was the last survivor director of the Three Stooges. And so I sent him a nice letter asking him different questions about the Three Stooges. And he was kind enough to send me back an audio cassette. And I kind of forgot that I had it. And I found it the other day. This is the cassette. Right there.
That's so cool.
Now Alan Chance,
What was cool also, he sent me
Scripts.
He sent me.
I'm sorry, I stole your thunder.
He sent me.
For the camera, everybody on
He sent
fistfulofradio.com.
me scripts from the Three Stooges that he worked on. Look at this.
That is priceless, dude. And call sheets.
And call sheets.
For those that aren't in the know, those are pages for the cast and crew, letting them know when they need to show up for work the next day.
I have a script for a short he did called Three Little Pirates. But, yeah, he was kind enough to do that for me, so we'll talk about it one day.
Well, when you guys do the Three Stooges thing, just because I don't know this, make sure you cover, like, I guess, was it Curly was first and then came Shemp?
That's something we're going to talk about.
I don't know what happened there. What happened to Curly?
What happened was Curly was the original.
But
something happened.
Do you want to come up for that one?
I don't know enough about the Three Stooges. I might call in.
But but Curly was the first, and then Shemp came along. Actually, Shemp, Mo, and Curly were brothers. And Shemp was under contract at Universal. He didn't want to be a stooge at all. And then, but when I'll tell you, Curly had a stroke, and then
so I was say, did he die or?
He didn't die right away, no, but he had a stroke, and so Shemp came in to fill the void. That's how that happened.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. But Ed, the guy that did the tape for me, he directed the last short with Curly. He directed the last one.
I can't wait for our Three Stooges show, number 51.
He directed
coming
the last
soon.
one, yeah. So,
and I've got a little thing to mention. Do we have any more fads or anything that's come and gone? And then I'll read some more Facebook comments.
I'm sure there's things we didn't cover, but
get the one more thing music ready in a sec while I talk about this. It's okay.
I can't
find it. Let's talk about this then.
We'll get it later.
Just sit right back and you'll hear it.
Don Wells passed away, as I mentioned previously. Basil
She
Chester.
played Marianne.
Marianne Sumner.
Now, who's left from the show?
Tina Louise is Ginger.
That's it?
That's it.
Because what's his name?
Russell Johnson passed away 2 years ago.
Russell
Professor.
Johnson was in a movie that I really liked called It Came from Outer Space. Universal, he was in that movie.
Yeah. Well, Don Wells was a really nice lady, and I read it was COVID-19. So,
she was the sweetie on there. She's the one that
the girl next door from
right,
Kansas. Her character was from Kansas, so she was from the heartland of America.
And who played? What was the guy?
She was like the
Jim
Janet
Backus?
on Three's Company.
Marianne
was sort of the Janet of Gilligan's
The
Island.
sweet girl, the country girl.
But not Jim Backus, but the other guy, the heavier set guy.
Alan Hale Jr.
Alan Hale. His dad
The
was
skipper.
in the movie. In the movies, Alan Hale.
I know.
He's made a lot of movies in the 40s, Alan Hale did. And then Alan Hale Jr., of course, was in Gilligan's Island.
And Gilligan's Island ran endlessly on Turner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ted Turner, and they made a pinball machine that's pretty cool in the 90s based on Gilligan's Island. Anyway, no one will know or care except me.
Yeah.
Now, Chance, with all this stuff, like, do you just rewatch all these shows and stuff? Because
when I have time, yeah.
I mean, well, I said because I watched Gilligan's Island for years and years.
I've seen them all so many times.
But it's probably been at least 30 years since I last saw Gilligan's Island. But it's like you seem so current on all these shows. Do you just go home and you're like,
no,
man, I think I'm gonna watch like Lost in Space tonight, or I'm gonna watch The Fall Guy.
It depends. I have a
because
film library.
Your memory can't be this good.
I have a film library like Al does, so I have Gilligan's Island on film. I've got all the Fall Guys on film, and on film, it makes it larger than life. It's like being in a drive-in theater. I mean, I can project it with a 65 millimeter lens.
A lot of these shows are available on DVD too,
streaming. And now
streaming.
I finally joined Disney Plus. I'm so psyched to watch The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, I'm not even going to give anything away.
Thank you.
But it's I have to be honest. At this juncture, I don't think I'd really want to watch a Gilligan's Island. I think I'd be
Didn't
more,
hold up.
I was going to say, a lot of these older shows from my youth, I think I'd be more worried that it was going to taint my memory of it, and I'd be like, wow, this show is really kind of bad. As opposed to like, even though my memory is kind of fuzzy, or I might only remember bits of certain episodes, at least they're fond.
I can only
memories.
watch so much of the older stuff. I mean, I like them, but I'm more of a guy. I like to see newer stuff.
Yeah,
I've watched all the Shameless episodes. I'm in season 11, which is not very good now. But also, I'm watching a series called Your Honor. It's on Showtime. I like the newer stuff now. I mean, the older stuff has its place, and I do enjoy some of it. But
I have appreciation.
But
for
I've
it.
sort of moved on. a
There's
little
a
bit.
caller at the buzzer.
All right. Well, let's take this call. Nostalgic Podblast.
Hello, who is this?
It's Michael Hopkins.
Hey, Michael, you called it towards the end of the show, but we can squeeze you in.
How are you?
Hey, I thought about Daltz. Remember Daltz?
Daltz, that was a store.
B. Dalton Booksellers?
Oh, no. Daltz. It was up on Northeast. I think it was in Northeast Plaza had one, and they were in several locations around Atlanta. But you could get hamburgers and milkshakes and
it was called Daltz, D-A-L-T-S?
Never heard of it.
Huh.
I wish I had, because that's my kind of food, junk food.
and Johnny Rockets. I don't think there's any of those.
Oh,
around
yeah.
There is in
Atlanta
Phipps Plaza. In
anymore.
Phipps Plaza. There's one in Phipps Plaza.
And there's one at Six Flags.
I know someone whose family started them.
The
And
Johnny
they're out
Rockets,
west, too.
yeah, Johnny Rockets is still around, but we went to one at Six Flags,
Scott Snyder.
and the food wasn't very good.
Well, that's Six Flags. The Six Flags versions are never as good
that
as
was
the
just.
actual
I mean,
restaurant.
I got a burger and fries there, and it was just. Ugh.
You're right. There's one in Six Flags,
Yes.
but it's not really. It's just in name only.
So caller, what was the best thing on the menu at Dalt's?
Michael.
Oh, to me, I think the milkshakes. That's what I seem to remember are the big, tall glasses that they put the milkshakes in.
I don't know. The best milkshake I ever had was from Steak and Shake.
Steak and Shake had really good. It's been years since I've had one, but
Yeah,
they
but-
use it like because they gave it like in a metal tumbler.
Yeah.
and there was enough in there to like you could fill your glass almost like a time and a half with milkshake.
Right. But no, adults I just don't remember, and I've been here a long time.
But I remember B. Dalton Booksellers and Walden Books, both gone from the mall. I used to love to go to the performing arts section and look up books about movies.
Well, Amazon got started by selling books.
Right.
That was the first thing they sold was books.
Yeah.
And so, that put bookstores out of business.
All you have left, there's one left. Oh, God, what's that chain? It's right near me.
Books a Million.
But see,
No.
I used to like to go to
They're
bookstores
expensive. I'm
and
trying
look
to-
through the books before I bought
Borders
them.
is gone. Borders Booksellers.
We mentioned
I'll
that.
mention
Yeah,
that.
I know. But what was the other one that's still around? Big book chain. And they sell coffee and they sell movies. It doesn't matter. They have
Borders?
vinyl. No.
But you can go down the street here to the Book Nook. They sell used books. They got plenty of books.
oh, well.
Chance and I used to get comic books from like Book Nook.
I did.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Michael?
No, that was it. By the way, I just looked it up. They've got one in Nashville. It was called Dalt's American Grill, but I just remember the name Dalt's. So I don't know if they've modified the name since then. But and then Folks, Po Folks was. Really
I remember
good.
Folks and Po
Oh,
Folks.
yeah.
Yeah, that was good food. I love their tea. They had the tea in a ball jar.
Yeah.
Remember they shared their tea in a.
Well, we used to always we'd go get like the big family meal from Po Folks for pickup and take it to Stone Mountain to watch the laser show.
And country singer Bill Anderson started that chain because he had a song called Po Folks.
And Barnes & Noble is who I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
That's the book chain that's still around. Hanging on by a thread, but they're very overpriced. I guess in the background I'll play a little of this theme since we were talking about truckers earlier. Remember this show? BJ and the Bear? No cracks
I try to forget.
about BJ.
I like the show.
You don't remember with the monkey? It was a trucker.
I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. Is your mic on?
Well, remember the monkey like saved his life in Vietnam? It was-
Yeah. And he named him after Bear Bryant.
See, like I said,
football coach.
I have such fond memories of that show. I would be afraid to watch an episode of it again. I'd be really scared to I'd be like, oh my God, this really was bad.
Well, Michael, thanks for calling, and we'll get together for a movie soon. How about that?
Okay, sounds good.
Michael,
guys.
may I ask you before you go, what was your opinion of Wonder Woman real quick? We're going to revisit that as we wrap the show. Thumbs
What was
up?
My favorite part about Wonder Woman.
Thumbs up or thumbs down or in the middle? What is your opinion of that
I would
movie?
kind of say in the middle. I mean, it wasn't the worst movie that I've ever seen, but I mean, it just wasn't one of those that really grabbed me. I thought that the cinematography and the music was really good, And
They had a great score behind Zimmer, but that was one of the saving graces.
I think
of the
Al was
movie.
saying that he felt that it ran too long.
It was too long.
I think a lot of the scenes did play like outtake scenes. There's several scenes they could have cut out. Really. I felt like I was watching an extended cut of a movie. And another thing that's coming on is the movie soundtrack. I love the Wonder Woman 84 soundtrack so much, and the music, the 80s stuff, and the new stuff by Hans Zimmer. I tried to buy it. Not available in America. It's only in Europe, and it's a double compact disc. I just had it imported from a guy over in England. And so it hasn't gotten here yet. But isn't that wild? Remember at the end of the movie credits it would say, the soundtrack's available on AMM Records and Tapes, and
Brought
all
to you
that
by
is a thing of the past.
Geffen Music.
Now it's all downloadable, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. Well, Michael, thanks for calling.
I saw
Huh?
a movie special from Hot Topics on Channel 2 last night, and they actually went over a lot of the movies that are just coming out or are going to come out for 2021. And they had an interview with the woman from Wonder Woman.
Oh, Gal Gadot. I call her Godot. I figure the T's silent, but I think I might be wrong. She's Israeli, not French. Only if she were French, she'd be silent, probably.
Right.
But
I liked her. She was fine in it. But
I just don't like her voice. If you just don't look at it, if you watch, if you listen to our Movie View 3, just listen to the trailer I play. It sounds like Fran Drescher. She sounds to me like the nanny a lot of times.
I don't know why, but last night
They should have dubbed her voice.
in her interview, she did not have as much of an accent as she did for that movie.
Well, good. Then I guess someone's working with her to get over it.
well, maybe they wanted to have the accent in the movie. You don't know. Maybe that's what they wanted.
How come her mom didn't play by Robin Wright? Her mom spoke perfect English. Usually you take after your mom or dad in terms of your vocal patterns.
I don't think many people paid that much attention to it, to be honest with you.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
I did, but she did a fantastic job. But in that movie, there was also kind of a ripoff of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Remember the classic stunt where Indy goes under the car? It was a famous stunt pre-CGI, and they filmed it in slow motion. Well, in the new Wonder Woman 84, she does that same stunt with CGI and stuff, and it didn't play like a tribute. You can tell when they're trying to give a nod to a classic scene. It seemed more like a ripoff to me. But I don't want to be negative about the movie. You fell asleep a couple times, Michael.
I know. I got to tell you, when I have a bunch of food in me, and then
That's true. He did eat
I'm
a
the
lot.
same way.
yeah, we had that big lunch, and I didn't expect that those chicken fingers were gonna. I didn't expect I was gonna get that much food. So
Yeah, you're about to pop. Well, man, thanks for calling, and have a great week. Let's see a movie sometime soon, okay?
okay, thanks.
Okay.
guys.
right,
Okay. Bye, Michael.
And the last thing I'll say about Wonder Woman, this comic book cover, please hold that for the camera. This conveys more emotion than that movie ever did. There was just very little chemistry, I thought, between Chris Pine and Wonder Woman. I didn't feel an emotional attachment. Look at that beautiful cover from the 60s where, well, if you're on fistfulradio.com, you got to go to our YouTube if you care to, Nostalgic Podblast, or our Facebook group. But I just love that cover. It conveys way more emotion than anything in that movie, but it wasn't a bad movie. I'm just sort of in the middle about it. But it's not as bad as people are saying on the internet. It's like become hip and trendy to bash that movie. They got the 80s right. The look it showed in the mall, the B. Daltons that we talked about. And
I haven't seen it yet.
I'm not giving anything away. This is a spoiler-free review, as is our Movie View 3. But
All
this
right.
has been fun.
All right,
This
we
has
need
been
to
fun.
wrap it up. I'll mention one more thing that has disappeared.
I'm just holding it. You go ahead.
We can put it down. It distracts me.
Okay.
One more thing I think that that has disappeared. Have you ever noticed on Facebook how you have friends that disappear?
You mean that passed away?
No, they just are no longer
Yeah,
friends.
They
I
defriended
have a lot
you
of
and you didn't
I
know
have
it.
a lot of deceased people on my friends list. By the way, it's kind of sad. It's very sad. I mean, more than a dozen, and they they're there.
Well, people do pass away, but I think they just unfriend you and they're gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
I guess that happens.
well, if you talk politics, yeah. How about colorization? What do you think about colorizing movies? That kind of came and went. They don't do that anymore, do they? That was something Ted Turner started.
I was never a fan.
You were never a fan. Well, all right.
All right,
well,
we got to go. Hey, one more
All right,
thing.
audience.
Okay, one more thing.
Remember the California raisins?
Oh yeah. Hey, Danny, do you have one more thing?
I
to
do.
add?
Since he brought up California raisins, I read an article really recently that the icon of Ronald McDonald outside of affiliation with the Ronald McDonald House is now done.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I just
Wow.
read something about it recently.
Couple quick Facebook comments as we sign off. Comments. Mark Frito, Channel 17 also sold the Super Bad Party Ring. Do you remember that?
I mentioned that.
You mentioned you mentioned that ring.
I was working there then.
But okay, I don't think you said Super Bad.
Well, it was a mood ring.
Mood ring, right? I'm just saying he added to that, and then name brand has Car Racing, National Stick Car Association. Interesting. That's from Paula, and then let's read a couple more.
I remember something about that.
Stock Car Racing.
Slot car. I remember those, yeah.
Wesley, I watched your Wonder Woman 84 movie review on Facebook. It was awesome. No, I haven't seen the movie yet. And he said, floppy disk. Let's see. I thought the Three Stooges were Larry, Moe, and Curly Joe.
No, Curly Joe came after Shemp passed away. And Curly Joe came around to finish out a few shorts. And then they made their movies, the Three Stooges in Orbit, that sort of stuff. They were terrible movies, by the way.
They were awful.
They were just
full-length features.
Yeah,
and then Wesley Millsap also says the Three Stooges were references Larry, Moe, and Curly Joe when they made animated character appearances on the new Scooby-Doo movies.
Right. Yeah, they did have an animated
which you just said.
Cartoon, yes.
Kind of sort. And then, okay, you guys are right about Shemp and the Three Stooges. I've never seen any of the episodes of the Three Stooges TV series with Shemp in them. TV series.
Well, MeTV runs them every Saturday at 6 o'clock for 2 hours.
And these were actually in movie theaters. I don't think younger people realize.
Well, the shorts were made for movies.
Before movies.
And what's sad about it, Columbia made them for the theaters. And then when they went to television, back when the Stooges signed the contract, then we'll have to go, with Columbia, television wasn't even thought of as far as showing their shorts. And then when Columbia released them to television, the Stooges didn't get 1 penny of royalties from that. Not 1 cent. That all went to Columbia.
That's a shame.
Yep, they didn't get any money from the TV distribution.
Well, thank you guys for listening in the Podience land, and we'll be back to do the Three Stooges. Now, Al offline has been saying, I think I want to cut back to doing the Podblast twice a month. What do you think about that? Comment. Are you yay or nay? I want to do it every week. We can take a week off, but Al's in charge, so I'm working on him to keep this thing going weekly.
I run the board here. All right.
But Three Stooges will be the next one.
All right, guys. Well, that's episode 50 in the can.
50, our 50th show.
50th show. Thanks for listening.
You got our theme?
And watching, and our theme is ready to go.
All
yeah,
right.
So have a good one.
Have a great week. Happy 2021. Okay.
I mean, you guys.
That's all right.
I mean, dude, I don't need you to walk me out or hold my hand or anything.
I'll walk you out.
You guys can do your thing. I just
keep it live. I'll just walk him out.
Well, dude, nobody argued. Nobody got in a fight. I'm like,
put the mic back on. Put the mic. Put the mic
on.
They're on. Yeah, nobody fought. Nobody cussed.
Nobody
you said bitch, but that's okay.
Well, you just said it.
I know. Thanks again for the food.
You're welcome anytime there,
and
Mr. Wizard.
Be careful going back to Athens.
Keep it rolling. We'll be right back.
I'll save this stuff. Okay. All right. Don't take my food. Leave it alone. Danny brought some great food, by the way. Yeah, because it's almost 10 after 4. It'll be dark when he gets home. Almost.
Yeah, Danny had a jet. He's gone. I'll lock the door. Well, that was a fun show, man. And did you cover everything? Is there anything else in your list you don't think we talked about that's come and gone?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Let me read some more Facebook comments. Wesley, after Linda Carter did the original Wonder Woman, she did TV commercials for Lens Express in the 90s. Lens Express is now known as 1-800-CONTACTS. And she did a short-lived show with Lonnie Anderson in 1984. It only lasted one season. What was that called? They were like lady detectives. Do you remember that show, Al? That's okay. You probably don't.
No.
Am I potted up? I'll play this in the background.
Why?
Let me look that up. Linda Carter. I knew this show, too. Linda Carter, Lonnie Anderson. It was kind of like Murder, She Wrote, but it didn't make it in the ratings. What was that show called? Oh, hang on. It's called Murder something. Partners in Crime. That's it. Partners in Crime.
I don't remember that.
It only lasted one season on CBS. Facebook comment. Wesley again, the only time I ever set foot inside a Walden Books bookstore was at CNN Center. I used to go to them in the shopping mall all the time because they also sold videotapes. VHS videotapes of movies and TV shows.
They had the, when I worked at Turner, they had the Turner store there. Had all this great memorabilia.
Wesley just said, if you guys cut the show back to twice a month, I'd be least likely to tune in. I get busy with other things. All right, well, I'll work on Al. Hopefully we'll be back next Sunday with the Three Stooges.
Wesley, you'll be back. Come on. You know.
I don't want to cut back. I don't want to. We got plenty to say. We got another topic we're going to cover is the TV miniseries and the TV movie, like Boy in the Plastic Bubble and The Roots, Shaka Zulu. There were so many great TV movies and like miniseries. Like, what was the other one? Shogun. That was a good one with Richard Chamberlain. Remember that one?
Yeah, I like Shogun.
Rich Man, Poor Man. I mean, I don't want to give it all away, but it'll be interesting with a lot of clips and stuff.
Remember Roots?
Yep. Based on the book by Alex Haley. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a classic, man. Kute Conte. Reminds me of Wakanda Forever. Remember, God, it's so sad about the death of the Black Panther. God, why can't I remember his name? Chadwick Boseman, for goodness sakes. He was an awesome actor. Totally preventable, man. Get your colonoscopy.
Was it prostate cancer?
It was colon cancer, and I had incorrectly said that Bill Bixby died of colon cancer. He died of prostate cancer.
Oh, okay.
Do I hear a knocking at the door? I'm losing it. So Wesley, we appreciate y'all watching, and Paula, Al's friend from way back when at the beach.
Mm-hmm. She lives in Florida now.
Yep. And I'm glad her husband chimed in with the hot pants comment. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my nephew Henry. He's such a good kid. He's a big football lover. He's going to start playing football. I'm excited about that for him. And that's my sister's son. And I have a niece, Molly, who's cute as a button. She's 7 years old, about to turn 8 in May. So anyway, I guess we'll sign off unless you have something to add, Al. Are we going to see a movie this week?
It depends. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, what's the next movie we're going to see? Monster Hunter, right?
Well, you know, Monster Hunter is the next one I wanted to see. I want to see the Tom Hanks movie, but I want to see Monster Hunter first because we popped in and saw some of it and it looked really good.
There was like a great crash scene with, it looked like a pirate ship.
Yeah.
Crashing onto a rock or something or onto land. It was freaking incredible.
It was good.
So, all right. God bless everybody. I hope you stay safe and healthy and happy in 2021. And I'm not going to jinx it like I jinxed 2020 at the end of our show, at the end of last year. I think 2020 is going to be a great year.
That's rude, wasn't it?
Cut.
It's like...
Cut. Fistfulofradio.com. Next, everyone's back, to my knowledge, starting tomorrow.
That was all that good food.
Yeah, that Danny brought. From, what's it called? Fully Loaded Pizza in Athens. Go there. It's good stuff. And I think there's one in Little Five Points in the Atlanta, Georgia area.
Say goodbye.
Bye.